Greetings, fellow Gorehounds. Before we begin this review, I want to first remind all of you that SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, the Actors Guild and the Writers Guild, are still currently on strike. So I'm going to include in the description of this video a link to both of their websites so that you can further educate yourself on why exactly these two guilds are striking, as well as a link to the Entertainment Fund if you want to help them more directly. And as you probably already know, movies cannot get made without writers and actors, as much as the rich fucks in charge want to convince all of you that they can be replaced with AI. They can't, and they shouldn't be replaced with AI. So fuck the corporates, support the unions, and let's get on with this review. Greetings, fellow Gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Something in the Dirt, a new film by the writer-director duo Aaron
Moorhead
and Justin Benson, who some of you may know as the writer and directors of Resolution, The Endless, Synchronic, and Spring. So these guys are known for making really low-budget movies under tight conditions.
Yeah, tight conditions, and they always have like this sort of supernatural twist to them.
But this movie is probably made under their tightest condition in that this is the movie they conceived and made during the pandemic, with essentially just the two of them playing the main roles.
Yeah.
There are other actors who appear here and there, but it's mainly just the two of them in a single apartment for most of the movie.
Yeah.
And that single apartment is actually one of their apartments that they filmed in. So like full on pandemic condition movie.
Yeah. And bear in mind, these are guys that have now made like, what, 5 movies?
Yes.
And when you see this apartment, you're like, does this hole?
Hence why the people over in Hollywood need to pay their writers, pay their directors, pay their actors.
Yeah, now this is obviously like an independent film, so we're not talking about this production company specifically.
But it is currently available on Hulu. So
cough up the fucking dough, Hollywood.
Cough the money. Give them the fucking residuals they deserve for this goddamn movie, because this goddamn movie's fantastic.
Yeah, I need the people who actually make the shit that I like watching to get paid.
Absolutely.
Okay? Not the executives.
Let's be honest. The executives could be replaced with AI.
I mean, of anyone, they could be.
Yeah.
You know? They're the ones who make the most cold robotic decisions anyway.
Exactly.
So anyway, Something in the Dirt is about two Los Angeles hopefuls. Well, they're less hopeful because they both have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
Striving for like a greater career, but not quite achieving that greatness.
Yeah.
Who are trying to document and uncover the secret of this weird anomaly in one of their apartments.
Yeah, and the anomaly is, for some reason, this one object will occasionally just float in the air.
And make these weird light prism things. And also, like, other weird things will start happening, like other objects will start floating and weird noises and all that stuff. And they're trying to figure out what the connection between all of this is and also why it's happening in the first place.
Yeah, just decide they're going to make a documentary about them trying to figure out what it is.
Now, it's not a found footage film, though there is a half of the movie that is showing you the documentary they're making.
Yeah.
So you see them in real life and then you see the documentary portions. And by the end of the movie, those two things blur and you're not sure what's real anymore.
Yeah, it reminded me of what the last broadcast was trying to
I can
do.
see that, yeah.
It was trying to do that, but this movie succeeds at it.
I could totally see that. It reminded me also of like Cannibal Holocaust, where you have like the real and then you have the found footage.
But in that movie, there's a clear distinction.
There's a clear distinction, whereas this movie, they start to blend more and more to the point where by the end of the movie, you don't know what reality is.
Yeah, which is part of the point of the movie.
Absolutely. So while this movie is about this weird scientific anomaly that they're dealing with, it's actually more about these two personalities, their different methods of trying to figure out what this thing is, because they both approach it from different points of view. And how it destroys the two of them. One of them is a little bit more like, oh, I'm going the hardcore conspiracy theory route. And the other one's a little bit more metaphysical about it.
Yeah.
And they both clash at any given point during this movie, and that creates most of the tension in the movie.
Yeah, it reminds me very much of the two sides of the modern, like, kind of occult community. You have the ones, like me, we think little bit more symbolically.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the assholes that are the conspiracy theorists who are like, oh, well, this definitely means this and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what are you fucking talking about?
Those guys who have gone so far down the conspiracy rabbit hole, they've come back around to fascist somehow.
Yeah.
And you're like, how the hell did you go on that journey?
Yeah, like, I don't even know what that journey looks like because, like, I didn't even know that was possible.
Absolutely. And it's really interesting watching these two characters clash because at the beginning of the movie, you have one perception of each of the characters.
Yeah.
Over the course of the movie, those perceptions change and morph as you learn more and more about them.
Yeah, because in the beginning, the one guy looks like he's just a complete burnout. And the other dude looks like he's kind of got his shit together.
Yeah, or at least he's trying to give you the air that he is.
Yeah,
that he has his shit together.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, well, he probably has like a job, something like that going on.
And as the movie goes on, like those perceptions change, right? We'll go into how they change in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But those perceptions on the characters change, and by the end of the movie, you have completely different opinions on the two characters than you did at the beginning.
Yes.
And it's really cool the way the movie does that.
It is, because in the beginning, like the character with the long hair, he seems so sus.
Well, here's the weird thing. In the beginning, I felt the other guy was sus.
Oh, I felt like he was sus too, but like in kind of like a internet asshole way.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the other guy,
he's got that kind of Reddit kind of way of speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas the other dude, you're like, I feel like this guy might be sus because he might actually be like actually schizophrenic.
Which is possible.
Or, you know.
It's weird because he's like the more down to earth of the two of them at the beginning.
Yes.
But he's also the one that's like obviously got secrets.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, it's more apparent that he has secrets.
For example, you discover he's been in jail very recently.
And we'll go into the spoiler section on that, because...
Yeah, that's
there's some twists and turns there. The thing I love the most about this, though, is that both characters feel like they really exist.
Oh, yeah.
There's something raw and real about the way these characters are performed and written in this movie. It's not quite mumblecore, but
I was about to say the same thing.
Realm.
Yeah.
If you told me that these guys were just making up the dialogue while they were talking to each other, I'd believe it.
Yeah.
Because they feel so natural.
Yeah, they feel like dudes you would know.
Exactly.
Everything you learn about them feels like something that a friend would discover.
Absolutely. Their first movie, Resolution, is a very similar like type of movie, but they had like actors they hired to do it.
Yeah.
This is them in those roles now.
Yeah, and it feels supernatural.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. Well, also being
supernatural.
Yeah. That should tell you something. The fact that right now we are this far into the vlog and we've mainly been talking about the characters tells you what the focus of this movie really is.
Yeah.
We really get into the weeds in this movie too on some esoteric concepts.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of this anime from like the 90s called Serial Experiment Lane.
I could totally see that.
You know,
totally see that.
Where we're dealing with the narrative and then all of a sudden we're dealing with this really esoteric concept and someone's explaining it to you and there's like this kind of weird montage going on.
But you're also having it explained to you by characters who are very unreliable narrators over the course of this movie.
Yeah. Unlike Serial Experiments Lane, where it's a third-person omniscient narrator.
Yeah.
These narrators are very unreliable.
Any explanation they give for what might be happening, you're like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Like, some of that you might just be making up.
Yeah, like another thing that reminded me of Serial Experiment Lane was the emphasis on like this sort of low-grade electrical hum that is always in the background.
Yes. Atmospheric shots of like power lines.
Yeah.
And like the meters outside their apartment building, which is a shit ton of meters apparently.
Yeah, because it's a fucking apartment complex.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or like the traffic lights and just the electrical hum inherent to the electronics of those things. It just makes you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and there's definitely like a few moments where you're like, wait, is this guy schizophrenic or is this city actually talking to him? Yeah. Because it's set in Los Angeles and they talk about a lot of things that when I'm in LA, I kind of feel. Where it's sort of like, it feels like this place is alive in a way that some other places aren't right now. Like, what is that?
And they start getting into conversations about secret societies and the messages they left behind.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're like, are you guys actually piecing together an actual puzzle or are you guys just finding patterns? Which is almost thematic given that literally this whole thing starts with like a pattern.
Yeah, that was obviously very intentional. But like my favorite pattern that people see, favorite, is also the easiest to explain. Everyone talks about the Masons, the Freemasons, the Freemasons.
Which is brought up in this movie.
Yeah, which also comes up in this movie. And people are like, why are all these buildings brought up by the Freemasons? Like, well, let's fucking think about it. They're Masons.
Yeah,
what do Masons do? They build buildings.
True.
Oh, but they had this weird secret society. And I'm like, oh, first of all, it's an esoteric society. Everyone knows it exists. They just don't tell outsiders what they do in there. They're the fucking stonecutters from fucking Simpsons. It's like, yes, in front of the sacred scroll, in front of the great level, in front of the great square hammer, we're having ribs. You know, like... Do they get together and decide shit? Yeah. Do they sometimes get a little occulty? Yeah. But it's not really a conspiracy. They just kind of hide it from outsiders, but there's not really a lot going on.
Speaking of conspiracies and the anomaly itself, if you're wondering whether or not this movie actually answers the question of what the anomaly is, it's very ambiguous by the end of it.
Yeah, you get a lot more information, but they don't tell you what causes it.
Yeah, we'll go into how this movie ends in the spoiler section, but it's very ambiguous as to what the anomaly is, what caused it, and what it even was doing.
Yeah, because it's way more about how this mystery impacts these two people.
Yes, and how it kind of tears them apart, essentially. It like rips apart this friendship, it rips apart so much. So if that's a thing that you absolutely need going into this movie, you might want to watch something else.
If you need a definitive answer for what the anomaly is, you're not going to get it.
But if you're interested in a weird, trippy science fiction movie that's very grounded and down to earth, that's also a character study on two very raw and real feeling characters.
Yeah. If you like Stalker, this is a movie, it's a much more low budget movie.
I could see that.
Yeah. In that vein where you're like, well, wait, why is this happening? Like Stalker doesn't tell you either. It's just that it is. This reminds me so much of like a movie I would catch at like the tail end of a film festival or at a convention.
And it will completely catch you off guard.
Yeah.
Start watching and be like, oh, what the hell am I watching? You'll get to the end of it and be like, that was really good.
That was super good.
It was not at all what I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was really good.
Yeah.
Like The Endless or Resolution. You'll probably dig this too, especially Resolution.
Yeah.
Resolution is the one this one felt the most like.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like The Endless, but this feels more like Resolution. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Feels both really good. All really good movies.
Exactly. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, it is currently available on Hulu. That is how we watched it. I'm sure it is available to rent on other platforms, but if you have Hulu and you don't want to pay, it's right there. But Hulu, you should fucking pay. Send those residual checks to the goddamn creators of this movie because they rule. And the movie rules, and you should pay them because that's the right thing to do.
And I want more movies by them.
Yes.
And if they get the money, that'll happen. If the execs get the money, who the fuck knows?
We'll get Mario 6. That's what we'll get.
I like that Mario Brothers movie. I will see the second one. I don't know if I need 6 of them. This ain't Fast and Furious, baby.
And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, let us move on to the spoilers. Alrighty then. So one of the guys, the conspiracy theory obsessed with secret societies.
The dude with the glasses.
Also kind of a fascist.
Yeah, fascist fucking end of the world Christian cultist.
Yeah, that dude. Turns out that he's been lying to us, the audience, for like half of the movie.
Yeah.
So it brings into question how much of what happened throughout the movie was even real.
Because not only does he lie about himself, he fakes evidence all the time.
But that's not even the weirdest shit that happens by the end of this movie.
No.
The weirdest thing that happens by the end of this movie is one of the things the anomaly kept doing throughout the movie is it would decrease gravity in the apartment.
Yeah.
Now, the dude with the glasses kept dismissing the dude with the long hair. I believe it's John and Levi.
Yeah.
Kept dismissing Levi's assessment that something was happening with gravity in the apartment.
Yeah.
And he kept proving it by bringing a scale in, stepping on the scale, and he's like 20 pounds lighter than he was the previous day. And the other guy would be like, oh, weight fluctuates. I'm like, not 20 pounds in a given day.
Exactly.
That means you either have a health problem or something weird's going on.
Oh, also the fact that they're named John and Levi, which are 2 biblical names also.
Oh, there you go.
Also part of the symbolism of the movie.
There you go. So at the end of the movie, when they've ultimately reached this point where in the morning, Levi's going to leave and John's going to finish the documentary on his own. John stays at the apartment because I think at this point he doesn't have a house to go back to.
Yeah.
Is the impression I got.
Yeah. Like one of the things that fucking happens.
He was living with his grandma.
His housing situation is either super unstable or he didn't actually have a housing situation.
Because the impression you get at the end of the movie is that please let me sleep here. I have no place to go. But he never says the no place to go.
Yeah, because he's such a narcissistic dick. He does it the abusive narcissistic dick.
That's the other thing. This entire friendship between the two of them is revealed to be very abusive.
Yeah.
On one end.
Yeah. John is totally abusing Levi. Levi, it turns out, is just like a normal dude with a shit ton of bad luck.
He has a shit ton of bad luck and a history of just making dumb choices.
Yeah. He's not the brightest bulb, but like some of the shit that happens to him, you're like, oh, he didn't deserve that.
The reason why he went to jail, the reason why he was on parole was because he was drunk one night and decided to pee on the side of a wall, and it was like the wall of a kindergarten without realizing it.
Yeah.
So he got arrested and got registered as a sex offender for this reason.
Yes. When he first brings that up, you're not sure if that's a cover-up.
Yeah, you're not quite sure.
By the end of it, you're pretty sure that's what actually happened.
You're pretty sure that's what actually happened because it kind of matches his character. Now, you do find out there's another reason why he's had to run in with the law, and it involves him and his sister breaking into this construction site for drug reasons.
Yeah.
And the sister getting high and falling off the side of the construction site.
Yeah.
Which actually becomes this thematic element throughout the movie. There's like this one-off line about like someone falling off the side of the building.
And he keeps having this like reoccurring nightmare that he's falling.
Yeah. He like even has a nightmare where he talks about like reaching terminal velocity in his life.
Yeah.
And stuff. So there's this reoccurring language of falling as well.
He keeps dropping things.
And this imagery. And plus you have the gravity in his apartment, the weird anomaly. So the end of the movie, they go to bed and the gravity anomaly happens and John wakes up in one of the gravity wells.
Yeah.
And he hits the ground and he goes looking for Levi. And then he sees Levi's cigarette on the fire escape. Where he's been going out to smoke the entire movie. In that moment, we realize that, oh shit.
Yeah.
The gravity hit and he went up. And then like you see him go outside and you just see in the silhouette of the moon, this shape that looks like a person floating up.
Yeah.
And you like get this one random shot of him like mangled on the ground.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh fuck. But you're also not quite sure, like, is that even real at the end? Because like he's so unreliable.
Look, I know, but you're like, that photo looked like it was supposed to be real.
It looked real. Floating in the sky thing seemed like that was not the documentary portion, that was the real portion.
Yeah.
But those portions of the movie started to blend by the end, so you're not quite sure.
And oh god, so you feel really bad for the dude. The whole time Levi's trying to get out of Los Angeles
before it kills him.
Before this anomaly kills him, and he keeps saying like, this feels like a warning. This feels like a warning.
Yeah.
And he doesn't because of fucking John.
Yep. John needs him, but hates him. Or at least treats him like he hates him.
Yeah. Basically what it really is that John has this massive narcissistic superiority complex.
Yep.
Like he dismisses literally everything Levi suggests.
Even if the thing that Levi says is just as ridiculous as what John was saying.
Yeah, or more likely.
Yes, that's also true. Like the gravity thing.
The gravity thing.
Something was clearly happening with the gravity in that apartment. You don't just lose 20 pounds overnight.
Not overnight. Unless you like lost an arm or something. Yeah,
unless you lost a limb or you have some sort of really bad health problem. You don't just lose 20 pounds in one night.
Yeah.
I almost feel like the movie in a weird way is almost a commentary on the way like people use each other in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah. Well, it's yeah, exactly.
They don't find out what happened and it ends up killing him and John ends up getting to reap the glory of the documentary.
Such as it is.
So any final thoughts, my friend?
Oh, this is a great movie.
It's a great movie. I enjoyed it. I do think it's going to be an acquired taste for people because it's not like the most like fanciful science fiction movie. No. It's also not the most horrific horror movie you've ever seen or the scariest thing. No. It's at the end of the day more of a character study than anything, but it's a really good one. And if you want to watch a movie about two characters and their different ways of dealing with the unknown and how it tears apart their friendship and leads into tragedy, then this is the movie you need to watch. And with that said, my fellow Gorehounds, where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Oh, you can find me on TikTok at Real Count Jackula. You can also find me on Twitter or X at Counting Jack, and you can also follow me here on YouTube. How about you?
Y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Instagram and Facebook, Blue Sky, TikTok. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema and I'll be there. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way.
So please, we beg of you, Donate!
Donate! And if you made it this far into the video, then I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag terminal velocity. Use the hashtag terminal velocity, that way I know. That way Jack knows. That way the whole world knows you went to the moon, and you kind of came back. I just realized that they went to Los Angeles and they shot for the moon, and one of them made it. Peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.
Oh.